Joining me now is Chad Martz, one of our partners on the ground right now in Ukraine, who's working with a network of churches and individuals who are helping those desperately fleeing the conflict in their nation. Chad, thanks so much for just taking a few minutes to join us today. I know you've been working day and night to help people who are fleeing bombs and fighting.
Yeah, that's correct. But thank you for having me on.
What are you hearing from people I know that you're so busy with the logistics side of trying to get aid to people, but what are you hearing right now on the ground?
Well, on the ground, because of the amount of refugees that we're having come through, and just discussing and talking with them in preparation for their arrival, it's desperation for those who can actually get out. Some are trapped within the communities that they live in because they're surrounded, and military is everywhere. So some people can't get out. For those who are able to get out, have multiple amount of logistical issues to getting to the west side of the country because it's military law and the numerous checkpoints and amount of people that are going. It's taking 3, 4, sometimes 5 days. And when you're dealing with a fuel shortage and food shortage, it's making it very difficult for people to make that decision. In addition to that, too, it's people have to decide what they're going to do because there's general conscription, and we have been hearing that at some of the checkpoints for those who are of age between 18 to 60 have been required to go into fight and defend. So people are left with a really, really complicated decision just to make it out this way.
Right, because some of those fathers know that they're going to fight, but they want to get their kids and their wives over the borders first, obviously, before they join. And so I can understand how complicated that is. And, we're so passionate about partnering with you and others. You work with a network of churches across the country who are helping. Tell me what you're doing.
Yeah, so we're positioned very well within the country. In our area, there has been no attacks, and so we're close to multiple EU countries. So when people are fleeing, a lot of them are coming through where we're located. Quickly, we needed to react to the situation and partnered with some Baptist churches here. As of this morning, it was 10 Baptist churches that we partnered with that will, on average, be providing for 100 refugees in each of those places. But the church doesn't have the resources to care for them. So what we're doing is we're making sure that we're getting enough beds, food, clean water, access to medical care, all the things that are required to house that many people. So in amongst that, it's also networking with a lot of people in their home. So for an example, there's one home that has 28 people living in it. And so that's a huge undertaking for people who are used to living day by day here. How do you provide for them? And so that's what we're doing is networking and within the communities that I am in to be able to get access to enough food and resources to be able to provide for people who are coming out this way.
Yeah, and I know one of the big challenges that everyone's facing, and I know it's affecting you, is supply chain challenges, that people are running out of food. And it's not just a matter of like, I can't get out to the store to get food. You get to the store and there's very little there. So how are you overcoming and facing those supply chain challenges?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that we're having to adjust all the time. So one way is even form of payment. A lot of stores have closed, and there are a few that remain open. And for those that remain open that have different forms of payment, whether it's cash or by card. And so we're trying to find places that can use and still use a credit card before they no longer will be able to. And so we're just talking with the managers at the different stores to find out where the supply lines are coming from, to see if they'll have additional ones coming to, going to wholesalers, getting as much as we can. But that's for the short term. We have to do this now. We're gathering it now, but we have to expand this so much more. So even just before this interview, our logistics person came in and it was like, we need to get some food out to another area because they don't have the same resources as what we do currently here. And so we're working with the short term to purchase everything that we need to, and then in the same breath, we're preparing to open up supply lines from European Union countries before we are unable to continue to purchase the things that we need to provide for people.
I'm so thankful for what you're doing. I know a lot of people watching right now are just, you could have left, you have Canadian citizenship, you've chosen to stay, you've chosen to help, and you're one of many. So many people have chosen to stay there despite the risk to your lives. You have a brother-in-law that just came back from safety in Germany to help with this effort. Talk to me about just the passionate people of faith who are so concerned with helping others that they are risking so much.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here who have the opportunity to leave, and that's dealing with a lot of emotions too, because you don't know who's leaving and who's going. But as we're working on developing and putting the Ukrainian side team here, I am just completely amazed by the opportunity that they have to share the love of Jesus Christ in the most practical way in which we can. For myself, I can't, and for others, I can't necessarily be that effective in like a military role. But I've been doing this job for 18 years. My wife's been doing this job, who is Ukrainian and is from this area, and been working in the east side of the country, for 18 years. So we've been equipped. We have expertise. We have a support team that's around us that we need to continue to grow. And so for the thought of leaving, how do we do that when God has so evidently placed us here for a time like this?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. You are here for such a time like this. We want to help. We're going to give you information in just a moment. I know that just in the last few days, you helped an entire orphanage, their staff and their families, leave the East right in the middle of that fighting. Tell me about how perilous it was to get them out.
Oh my goodness. So we can't do anything to necessarily get them out. Everybody is on their own to find their way to make it over to the west side of the country. So we were actually in communication with them today, and so just getting a little bit more details, because we didn't even know ourselves because we've been working so hard. So as soon as they were safe, we just continued to provide for more people. But there ended up being like 14 cars, a caravan, and one of the really interesting things is that they never knew when the war was going to break out, just like everybody else. And so the night before, they felt the prompting that they need to fill up their vehicles with gas. 14 cars, that they filled them all up with gas, and by the next day, the bombs started to fall. And so they contacted us saying they're on their way, and we lost contact with them for a few hours. They were eventually able to make it through the area that was controlled by Russian forces, and began the long trek over to the west side of the country. That's 116 people. It was 52 orphans, the staff, their families, and additional people that were along, I guess, this caravan, as you would say. 3 days to make it all the way here. One day they just had to stop at nighttime in a village and sleep, but you have, young kids all the way to teenagers and older that they're providing for. Where do you provide all the food for? Make sure they have enough gas. So they finally arrived, and we networked with another mission organization that was able to provide 50 beds and all the food and supplies for them. They're supported by ministry in Norway, and we networked with a camp that is hosting the remainder. And so they're doing well. They're grateful. The community is rallying around them. Even some of the kids arrived sick, and the community members made sure that the doctors came by and checked out the kids to make sure they're okay. We provided a bus full of all the supplies that they needed to sustain them for their this time, so that they're taken care of. So we're just, we praise God that they were able to, to make it.
The work that you are doing is so important. We are so thankful for you and everybody working with you who is helping people get out. You're one of many partners that we have that are working with churches across Ukraine. Listen, we don't know how long these avenues for supply routes are going to be open. The situation is changing by the hour. We need people to get on board and to give right now to help people like Chad. They are risking their lives to do this work. And I feel like the least we could do is, number one, pray. Number two, let's get them the resources they need while they can still use it. So give us a call right now. This is why we are here, really, is to help our brothers and sisters and people that are suffering around the world. 1-800-265-3100. You can also give online at crossroads.ca/Ukraine. Chad, thank you so much for all you're doing. And we just pray that you stay safe and that you continue to be able to do this work as long as possible.
Yeah, thanks for having me.